You don't need to spend a dime on third-party plugins to get pro mixes. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 principles that will keep third-party plugins miles away. And at the end of the video, I'm going to balance it off by recommending 3 third-party plugins that you should get if you absolutely have to buy some plugins. Let's go. So the first thing that you need to do is to get a balance using only faders and the panning. In my mixing template, which you can download in the description below if you're on Logic, the principle there is to get a good as sound as possible without using any plugins. And that's why I have bypassed all the plugins that's on all the tracks and the mix bus. So when you import your tracks and start mixing, you don't have any plugins going on at all. And the advantage of this is that when you start applying plugins later on, they're optimized for goodness. The second thing that you need to do is to utilize the plugins that you already have in your DAW as good as possible. And by doing that, the main principle here is to only use processing when you hear that you need to. So you listen back to your static mix, that's when you have dialed in all the faders and the panning to your liking. And then you hear that maybe you need to make the vocals a bit less dynamic, or you hear that you need to cut some frequencies on certain tracks to create some pockets for all the tracks to breathe correctly in. And all of this can be done using the stock processors. Look at this. And finally, you have to use reference tracks. Go on Spotify or Apple Music or Tidal or wherever you stream music and find some tracks that are in the same ballpark as yours, more or less. And then you listen to how the bass sits, how the vocal sits, how the drums are in relation to the instruments, and so on and so forth. You can import this song as an MP3 or something into your DAW and you can listen back and forth. Just remember to route the reference into the output, not into a bus. Here are some disadvantages of using third-party plugins. Some plugins are actually a bit unstable, and depending on which operating system you use and which version of the DAW you're using, it can cause trouble. I have some plugins that causes some cracks and clicks, and it's all random. So when I export a song, I think everything is great, and then all of a sudden at 150, it's a crack or it's a pop that I can't control, and then I have to bounce it again. And it's really awkward to get the feedback from a client that there's a pop at 150, for example. So you have to bounce it out again. And that's like, I feel very unprofessional if that happens. Another thing is that they are expensive, and unless you are making more money on your music than the plugins cost, you end up in minus. Although it's cool and fun with nice and shiny brand new plugins in your folder, it also sets you back financially and gives you less margin to play on making more music. What if instead of buying third-party plugins, you can have a day off from work and you spend your money that way so that you can make more music? I'm just saying. And another disadvantage of third-party plugins is that you spend more time learning the plugins than actually making music and getting mixes done. Now we're approaching the end, and I have 3 recommendations of plugins that if you absolutely have to buy some third-party plugins, these are the ones to get first. Number 1, Pro Q3 or Pro Q4 it is now. I have 3, I haven't upgraded yet. It just speeds up your workflow by a lot. Everything is there ready to go. You have unlimited of nodes. I think there's 20 nodes that you can create, and it's a drag and drop feeling. The stock Logic EQ is good, but it's a lot more tedious to use than the Pro Q3, and it has a lot more functions as well. It has dynamic EQ, and Pro Q4 even has some more advantages and benefits, such as harmonic suppression, such as the Soothe 2 has. So it's like competing with the Oak Sound plugins now and everything. So it's really great. It's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to EQing. And then we have the Waves Factory Track Spacer, and that's a plugin that is perfect for sidechaining. I use it for sidechaining kick and bass, and for sidechaining vocals to certain instruments on the instrument bus, or the complete beat, if that's the case. So that's really cool. You can select which frequency you duck. You don't duck the broadband of the frequency, you only duck whatever needs to be ducked. And it makes your tracks breathe a lot more, and it makes the sidechain compression a lot less invasive. And then finally you have the Ozone Maximizer. I'm not pleased with the limiter in Logic, and I've also tried the limiter in Ableton, and I'm not like really impressed. They're good, but they lack a lot of functionality, and the Ozone just sounds really good. If not the Ozone, then the FabFilter Pro L is also a good choice. But personally, I prefer Ozone, and it has a lot of functionality. The release controls are really great. They can really dial in your mix really good. It makes finalizing your tracks a lot easier. You absolutely don't need them, but they're very good to have. When you know that you're more serious and that you mix and master more songs, you should get these free plugins. That's my recommendation. I use them all the time. I've had the Pro Q3 since I think 2018 or 19, and I have used it on all mixes almost since then. Except when I try to mix without using any third-party plugins. That's just for exercise. Don't forget to download my mixing template. The link is in the description below. It's for Logic only, but if you're not on Logic, check out the video that I've also linked below, which is about making a mixing template in any DAW. Now, if you like this video, check out one of these videos. I think you're gonna love them. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope I see you there. Peace out.